Hello, you're welcome to my channel. I am Yaki, and today I want to talk about the Umoja women. There is a village where only women are welcomed and men are not allowed. Let's take a look at it, and then at the end of the video, if you enjoy it, please subscribe and let me know your thoughts as well. The village was founded in 1990 by a group of 15 women who were survivors of rape by local British soldiers. Umoja's population has now expanded to include any woman escaping child marriage, female genital mutilation, domestic violence, or rape. Rebecca Lolosoli is the founder of Umoja. She was in a hospital recovering from a beating by a group of men when she came up with the idea of a women-only community. The beating was an attempt to teach her a lesson for daring to speak to women in her village about their rights. Umoja, which means unity in Swahili, started with 15 women. At its peak, the population grew to about 50 families. Now, there are about a total of over 37 women and their children living in the village, which is made up of homes the women have constructed for each other and a school, all surrounded by a fence of thorny branches. The women make money selling honey and handmade beads to tourists. Henry Lenayasa, chief of the administrative region where Umoja village is located, said the women's move to register their land is an example of a growing recognition of equal property rights among the Samburu. He said, and I quote, "We as administrators are guided by the Constitution to ensure women get their fair share. I normally hold meetings in various villages to ensure this message reaches them and also emphasize the need to empower girls." Kenya's constitution states that all women have equal rights to own property, but in reality, land is most often customarily passed from fathers to their sons, making it hard for women to own land. Women own less than 2% of all titled lands in Kenya, according to the Kenya Land Alliance. The Samburu practice communal tenure, with all decisions on how land is used and allocated made by men. But soon, the women of Umoja could have legal control over their own tracts of grazing land a few kilometers from the village, which they bought a few years ago with savings and donations. The women are on the brink of being granted the title deed to a tract of grazing land by the country government, a right they never would have had outside the village, and are motivating nearby communities to also start giving land rights to women. In Samburu community, that was not possible for a woman 30 years ago. She would not have been allowed to own land and other property because her husband would not allow her. The government is currently considering their application for a community title for the land, which is due to be partitioned. If granted, the land title would help protect the women and their livelihood from clashes over land and water that frequently break out between the Samburu and rival communities. The Samburu are closely related to the Maasai tribe, speaking a similar language. They usually live in groups of 5 to 10 families and are semi-nomadic pastoralists. Their culture is deeply patriarchal. At village meetings, men sit in an inner circle to discuss important village issues, while the women sit on the outside, only occasionally allowed to express an opinion. Umoja's first members all came from the isolated Samburu villages dotted across the Rift Valley. Since then, women and girls who hear of the refuge come and learn how to trade, raise their children, and live without fear of male violence and discrimination. Although the inhabitants live extremely frugally, these enterprising women and girls earn a regular income that provides food, clothing, and shelter for all. Village leaders run a campsite a kilometer away by the river where groups of safari tourists stay. Many of these tourists and others passing through nearby nature reserves also visit Umoja. The women charge a modest entrance fee and hope that once in the village, the visitors would buy jewelry made by the women in the craft center. Lolo Soli has faced repeated threats and attacks from local men since setting up the village, but she is undeterred. One of the unique features of the Umoja community is that some of the more experienced residents train and educate women and girls from surrounding Samburu villages on issues such as early marriage and female genital mutilation. Ornate beaded jewelry is an important part of Girls get their first necklaces from the father in a ceremony known as bidding. The father chooses an older warrior male with which the daughter will enter into a temporary marriage at that time. Pregnancy is forbidden, but contraceptives are unavailable. If the child becomes pregnant, she is forced into an abortion conducted by the other women in the village. If a girl is married at an early age, that girl would not be a competent parent. Giving birth, they face a lot of challenges. They could rupture, bleed, or even die because they are young. However, the Umoja village has brought a solution to all of these problems, as they women in that village do not encounter some of those challenges anymore. Curiously, for an all-women village, there seems to be a lot of children around. How does this happen, you wonder? Well, many of them end up with children because they meet men in the towns and get seduced by them. The women of Umoja also travel to nearby communities to teach people about the importance of including women in land and property ownership. And whenever a woman leaves the village to return to her husband, the others make sure she does not revert to second-class status. They step in and teach her about her rights and even follow up to ensure that she actually gets to enjoy these rights, including seeing whether she is properly dressed or has ownership of some property. Wow, quite interesting, I must say. So what do you think? It's quite sad that women are so treated unfairly, that most of them had to come to the point of building or settling in a place comprising of only women. This goes to show how deep into most African societies the rot has eaten, that women are seen or addressed almost as only babies making machines. However, I'm glad that these women are rising up to fight for themselves, and I really hope that the Kenyan government will do more about their situation. What do you think about the story? Do you have any thoughts to share? Have you visited the Umoja village before? Kindly leave your thoughts in the comment section for me. If you want to watch more of my videos, please subscribe, like the video, and share as well. Till I come your way next week, keep it safe. See you. Bye.